So, I wanted to do a quick video talking about Ragley's updated frames for 2023. They were getting a little long in the tooth because those geometries and the frames was out since 2019. It's 2023 now, so it's been 4 years. Industry and geometry has moved forward. 65 head tube angle is now considered trail, and if you want to get into enduro, it's gonna be 63. So given that, they always used to say the Marley and the Big Al was kind of the same thing, but the Big Al is the 29 version, and I never agreed with that. I always thought the Big Al was a more capable trail version of the Marley because the reach on the Big Al was longer, the chainstay in the Big Al was longer, the Big Al was slacker by half a degree, the Big Al had a steeper seat angle, the Big Al had a taller stack. Basically, the Big Al was, in my opinion, in between the Marley and the mmmbop. And now they finally realized as well that they should put the Big Al square into the enduro category. So now the Big Al numbers almost match the Kona Hanzo ESD in terms of the head angle. If you look at it, it is now 63.5 with the 140 fork. And you can over fork the 160 to bring it down to 62.5, which is where my current Hanzo ESD is sitting at right now. But the new Big Al also has a monster tall stack at 655. And me and Get Spammed, which is the moderator at Hardtail Gang, was always tweaking the geometry of a Big Al to make it more capable. I put a -1 degree headset angle on there, angle headset, which brought it down to 64 before overforking, and the headset angle actually tilts the bike forward, which steepens the seat angle, which is pretty much what Ragley did themselves, but they just increased the stack and increased the reach. They also lowered the bottom bracket, so now it's a 70mm bottom bracket drop versus 65, which will make this thing corner even better. I always thought the Scout corner better because it always had a lower bottom bracket, and I'll take a lower bottom bracket with 165 cranks all day, every day, because you can just push so hard into a berm. So the geometry and the tweaks on the frames that Ragley did in 2023, I was doing it first before it came out, just based on how I ride and how I feel the ride could be improved. So me and Get Spammed were the hipsters, because the geometry on the new frames actually isn't too far off from how we modified our 21 frames to ride. Here you can see how I will artificially increase my stack height by leaving my steerer tube extremely long and stacking all the spacers underneath, and I run a extra long 50mm stem to compensate for the shortened reach. Same chainstay length at 435. After experimenting with like a 417, 425, and 435, I really feel 435 is the most natural balanced position because it's still easy enough to get the front wheel off the ground. Everything happens just a little more slower, but it's got a much more neutral weight distribution where you're not like put all the way in the back of the bike, and it's so much easier to load up the front of the bike to get the car, so still a car guy, to get the bike to do what you want it to do. Now, on to the next thing. They also said the seat got a little shorter, but it's only 10mm. Honestly, that isn't that much, but looking at how short the San Quentin seat is at 340 on a medium versus a 410 on this one, it's too short because I have to make the seat stick up like 3 inches past the collar. To over 200mm drop, they have the proper leg extension. So it's kind of like, if you're getting that short of a seat, do you really need it that much? I guess this kind of helps with the aesthetics to try to keep things neutral, but it still has that little bend on the bottom by the bottom bracket. So you're not going to be able to slam the dropper all the way down with a 200mm dropper. The wheelbase grew a lot. It went from 1209 to 1223, which is actually longer than the base Hanzo ESD. But man, that tall stack is amazing. Again, as I said, messing with the geometry, even on Get Spam's thing, we put a work component headset on it, which is -2 degrees, 2.5 degrees. And that raised the stack by 10, 15mm. So he pretty much has the current modern 23 frame on it. And as a little spoiler, my friend with the San Quentin 3 just put an order for the teal Big Al. It's a work in progress. It's probably not going to be built for another year. But because the fucked up thing about the bike industry is the colors don't last very long. So if you see the color you want, even though you don't need the bike, you gotta snatch it up now, because next year when you finally time to build it, you're not gonna get the color you want, which is a real bummer. So Big Wig is basically the same thing but in steel, but now they came in the purple, like the Big Al purple, and that actually sold out already according to Get Spammed, because everybody wanted that purple. That purple is so hot, but I'll be honest, even though I made my own version of the bike with my Hanzo ESD and that same purple and the steel, that teal I think is even hotter. And now finally, the Marley 29er is so close to what the original Big Al is. Now you can finally say the Marley and the Big Al is basically the same bike, just 27.5 versus the 29 version of each other. The only difference is that the stack got raised on the current frame, even though the reach is identical to the old Big Al, and the bottom bracket is 5 millimeters shorter. I mean, lower down. So again, the handling is good. It's still got the 435 chainstay. The current Marley, the reach got longer by 5. Again, it's gotten a half a degree slacker, which is close, and the seat got 1 degree. So everything got a half a degree to 1.5 degrees slacker, but the seat all got 1 degree steeper. And I can understand why they wanted the only 1 degree steeper seat. It is more comfortable to pedal. You do have more room in the cockpit when you're sat down. You do have more room in the cockpit when you're climbing. The top tube, the longer top tube definitely reflects that. But I would say, like, it's such an exciting time because Ragley makes such good bikes. I was waiting for an update on it, and it's so much more exciting when new bikes come out versus when cars come out, honestly, because bikes, especially hardtails, the frames are pretty damn cheap, and if you know how to build your own bikes, you can sample like a new hardtail every single year, and you can really experience it and enjoy it, versus on a car where you can just gawk at it from far away. You can't really push a car anymore because it's just gotten so freaking fast and it's so dangerous if you crash it, and it's so damn expensive too. So bikes for the win. And last but not least, the mmmbop. If you really want a 27.5 enduro bike, they did change it as well, but it's very, very subtle, the tweaks. It went from 63.75 down to 63. And the head angle, the seat, again, got 1 degree steeper. The stack went up a little bit. It's like 626 now. However, the reach is still at 640. Chainstay still at 425. Yeah, they never really messed with the chainstay, and they shortened the seat tube by 10 millimeters again. So it's almost essentially the same bike, just tilted one way on the seat and then tilted the other way on the head tube angle. All of the bikes appear to have a tall 10 millimeter longer head tube. And the benefit of that is, again, it raises the stack and it kind of allows the top tube and the down tube to be slightly more parallel. And that would make the bike ride a little better. In theory, of course. So that's it. That's my thoughts on the new Ragley bikes. So hot. I'll talk to you later. Bye.